toxic masculinity cannot exist in men. Now, toxic masculinity can exist in women, but toxic masculinity can exist in men. Toxic femininity can exist in men, but toxic masculinity can. Jamie, tell us about it. What do you think?
Well, I'm kind of glad that you brought up the feminine because I was going to do the same thing, right? When we think about feminine traits, it is things like, being intuitive, heart-centered, compassionate, kind, sensual, gentle, and all these things. And I'm with you. When I see toxic masculinity, what I really see is toxic femininity. So, a lot of those guys that we see that act like that, you kind of want to be like, oh, they kind of acting like a bee. Like, that's kind of what you would say. Like, that's how they, act. And I think
Acting
it's
like a
like,
bee.
well, I didn't want to
What's a
cuss on
bee?
the thing. I didn't want to curse.
Hey.
Can we
Okay.
curse?
Okay.
You can
Yeah.
curse.
Yeah.
Okay,
You do whatever
yeah.
you want.
So when it comes to toxic masculine guys, sometimes when you see their behavior, like, oh, this guy acts like a bitch. Like, and it's like, what is going on? But when I break it down and think of it, I think of the broken divine feminine within a man. So, whether that's mother issues or the inability to connect and collaborate, easily with the feminine. I think things like intuitive, being intuitive, when that is ignored, you're acting a certain way to perform, to put on. And that's the part that becomes, toxic. When you can't be kind, you're not a good leader. So you think you have to be just assertive as opposed to also, some of the other softer traits, because if you think that makes you soft and you are operating just from the ego, I think that is what creates toxic masculinity. It's a broken inner feminine.
Okay. Yeah. Toxic femininity. Okay. Tell us, what do you think? Toxic masculinity exists or not?
Yeah, no, it does not exist. The problem, one of the problems of many, is we're dealing with raising our young boys to not be men, but to be wimps and suckers. And I think you had a great point, Jamie. What we start to see is young men and men starting to overperform. You're starting to compensate for some shortcoming that you have, and so you get up all big and bold and bad, and you're loud talking instead of just being yourself. And I think a lot of being yourself is would be a masculine trait. You don't need to overcompensate for anything. You need to show who you are, and your actions and yourself should prove your masculinity. But we do have an issue with raising our young boys to not be men, but to be soft. And as long as we continue to do that, we're going to run into some trouble. Some of these other places are going to start kicking our ass because they're raising men. They're raising people that are going to come wipe us up and knock us out. And we're going to be wondering what the hell happened. Like, kind of goes back to a few years back. I don't know if you remember, we were doing the show before in that Gillette commercial. Like, look, there's things in there that weren't even true. Like, you can make a video that looks like things are happening, like kids getting beat up and things like that. I mean, of course that happens every once in a while, but that's not the norm. Like, we got to look at what is the norm, and we got to raise our young boys to be men. So we got to get rid of this toxic masculinity and start raising men again.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's not toxic masculinity, it's toxic femininity in men. That's why they act all weird and funny and stuff. Bree, what you got to say about it?
I think. Oh, well, I wasn't expecting that. I think toxic masculinity exists mostly in women. I'm not too sure about how it may exist in men. I see it mostly in women being overly masculine. Even myself can sometimes be overly masculine, and we need to just, as females, bring it back down and stay in our role as a woman, being feminine, gentle, sexy, submissive sometimes, not so aggressive. And it feels like some men have taken on, again, like what everyone was saying before, toxic femininity out of the women. So men have been taking toxic femininity that was within women, and now women, it's like reverse. Like women have toxic masculinity and men have this toxic femininity. Now, if there's toxic masculinity in men, the only thing that I might believe might show is when men, what's going on today is like a lot of men are big on polygamy and believing like that there's not enough men in the world and that there's too many women, which I don't believe. I believe that there's an equal amount, and I believe women get more of a temptation to leave a man every single day. Women are always offered, you know, some extra dick or something like that on the side, or you know, there's always a man in line after the next man, whereas women aren't typically lining up to be with every man. Like strip clubs aren't really geared towards women, they're geared towards men, you know, straight men or bisexual women or whatever, but it's mostly about the women's sex appeal. So I believe that it's easier for women to want to be with different men than men being with different women. I understand that, but I feel like it's a toxic masculinity trait that some men have in their minds, that they're just this egotistical man, and that when they're with a woman, she's not going to leave. She doesn't see anybody else but him. But we have temptations as well. And I believe that comes from a toxic masculine place. I'm not sure though. It could come from a feminine place. I don't know.
All right. Miles, jump on in there real
He's
quick. What do you
smiling over there,
think?
Miles.
You
I see
know,
you smiling.
Bree, it's nice to meet you all, and you kind of touched on a subject near and dear to my heart, which I could actually talk about all night, but I won't here because we're talking about toxic masculinity. But you're 100% wrong. There's not enough men for every woman. But I digress. Y'all live in a world I don't occupy. I don't know what the fuck y'all are talking about. Of course, there's toxic masculinity in men, like however you want to spin it. What is it? What is it that causes niggas to go out and brush shoulders with a complete stranger and get into a knockdown, drag out street fight? What is it that makes me be sitting at a red light and a motherfucker pull up next to me in park and rev his engine like, hey, you want to go? You want to run him? Like, what the fuck are we talking about? There's toxic masculinity everywhere. You know, what's happened now is that some of the good parts of masculinity are getting lumped in with the toxic parts, and they calling it all toxic masculinity, which is an error, and I don't agree with that. But I don't know what fucking world y'all live in. Y'all niggas grew up with me. All we grew up with was motherfuckers fist fighting strangers for the smallest inflammatory remark. Like, I don't know. Maybe I might not be interpreting the question correct, but I've seen toxic masculinity everywhere all the time, all my life.
All right. Well, then I'm coming back to that. Then I'm coming back at you. So basically, toxic masculinity is it's only in women. It's not in men. Men can't have men's masculinity can't be toxic. So you know, you talked about the whole thing about racing cars or fighting or anything like that. Well, protecting is masculine. You know, being aggressive and protecting is masculine. Now, you know, if you fighting at the drop of a dime because you're emotional, then that's femininity, because femininity is emotional, but masculinity is not. Masculinity is cold. So there is no being super emotional. I think a lot of the things that you talked about, well, not a lot of the things, but some of the things that you were talking about was toxic femininity in men. But masculinity to compete with each other, yeah, that's masculine.
As in a street
Yeah.
race
And,
I
that,
made a
that takes out a
list actually.
minivan at the next intersection. That's masculine, right? But we're not
Hey, I
gonna say
mean,
that's toxic.
I don't think that a street race is toxic masculinity. I think that's stupidity. I mean, I don't think that
well,
has to do with masculinity
Powered by
or femininity.
testosterone. Powered by testosterone. You don't see women do it. Bree,
The
when's
the
the last street
competition.
race you spontaneously found yourself in?
well, one, I wanted to touch on the fact that you said that I was wrong that there's not enough competition in men, and there's 3 men and only 2 women right here in this chat. And that's how it is almost everywhere. So if you only see yourself, you're not seeing how we women are seeing the reality, that there are actually enough men, or maybe even more. And to me, it's like a competition. You didn't even see the other 2. You just said that there's not enough men, and there's clearly 3 and only 2 women. So
Well, like
I
I
don't know.
said, I digress, and I want to stay on topic here. But I'd be happy to discuss this with you further. Like,
Go ahead,
but
Jamie.
yeah,
I know you
that,
had
that,
something to say.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we're low key all saying almost the same thing. I did make a list of qualities that are more feminine and qualities that are masculine. And when I line them up next to each other, what I'm seeing when it comes to the title toxic masculinity, because we use titles and verbiage for everything, it's really an imbalance. Because when you think of the dictionary, so to speak, version of toxic masculinity, it's like, don't cry, boys will be boys, men can do this. And it's, but it's never coupled with a healthy feminine. So that's when you get the stupidity of, so some of the qualities of a divine masculine are assertiveness, discipline, boundaries, confident. Men and women both need divine masculine and divine feminine. And when you think of the yin and yang and how it looks, it's white on one side with a black dot, black on one side with a white dot. And that's where I feel like, men can be all white, meaning all masculine with the black dot of the femininity. But if that femininity is not there to round out the egotistical ways, the patriarchal conversations and allowances and things like that, then that's when you get what is typically titled toxic masculinity. Because in order to have discipline, you've got to be reflective. Reflective is feminine, more. If you're going to take risks, you got to be a little bit intuitive. And, so I think it's really more about rounding it out with just a little bit of balance. But I also almost think we're all kind of like saying the same thing when it comes to that.
Okay.
I just had a question. When we're talking about oh, my bad.
Yeah.
So, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kay, and then I'll come back to Miles.
I just wondered.
I'll let you wrap it up.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Kay.
All right. Yeah, so my biggest thing is, how we're raising our kids and how we're raising our boys. I mean, we see in the media, especially for Black culture, we see the gay couple. It's always the Black guy is always a gay dude. You look at commercials, it's a gay dude. Like we're completely feminizing our culture. And when you talk about toxic masculinity, I think in this sense, it's about having boys be boys. Like, yeah, boys fight, boys play hard, boys do boy stuff. And if you start to take that away, you start to strip it away and call it toxic, then you start to strip away what created, who we are today. Like our parents, our dads, our granddads, you go back, generations, like they'd be appalled by how we treat kids today and how we treat young boys today. And all of these things that we're opening them up to, rather than them just playing with some damn Tonka trucks, playing with army guys and shooting people and doing shit like that. Like we're losing all of that. And that's not toxic. That's just a role that a man needs to have and needs to understand, from when he's a boy to grow up to be a leader of his family. I mean, we're losing that completely.
So KJ, can I ask you a question? Do you think it's okay for boys to cry?
I think it's okay for boys to cry, but I think you need to be crying for the right reason. And I think you need to, I would say like a young man and boys as they grow up, like you shouldn't be super comfortable with crying in front of a bunch of people.
Because I think that's where they're talking about the toxicity comes from. When we tell boys, that's just one example, that they can't cry, that's not balanced. And when that's suppressed, you get the asshole running around trying to raise people because they have not processed.
I think there's far more to it than the asshole has a lot of other suppressions. Like it's not just not crying.
It's a lot.
I hear you though, but yeah, okay, but I think that we do need to like limit the amount of like things that we do like that. Like if we go straight specific to crying, yeah, like you gotta recognize like I don't need to show that side of me to everybody. Like that's just not something that men
or
need to be doing.
anybody.
You're gonna be the leader.
Yeah, we shouldn't be teaching boys that it's okay to cry with an audience ever. Grown men. I don't know. I can't speak for y'all. I know y'all are super tough, but I mean, I've cried as a grown man, but very few people have ever seen it, and that includes funerals. That includes, there's just a time and a place for shit like that, and it is toxic to teach boys to emote and to publicly show vulnerability. I know you won't agree, I know there's the feminine, what is it, the divine feminine, which I never quite got that. Is that some, you know, extraterrestrial or extra earthly being inspiring the femininity? But at any rate, yeah, no, the way we were raised, boys ain't supposed to cry in public. It's not, a woman shouldn't even be available to tell a boy it's okay to cry because she wasn't supposed to see it. You jump in the shower and cry it out yourself. And when you jump out and dry off, you dry the tears too, and you just get on about life.
And the
If I'm
cold part
wrong,
is,
somebody let me know.
Well,
hold on,
I
real
don't
quick.
know
Kevin,
about
real
that.
well,
quick.
here's
What's
the thing
I
about
don't
that,
remember
and we're gonna
anybody.
wrap up this segment, get to the next one.
Yeah.
We kind of carried over,
Yeah.
but basically, at the end of the day, I think that if you're talking about, you know, men crying, um, men cry today because of too many things, and my whole thing is why do you even care so much that you're crying that much? Like at the end of the day, yes, women are emotional, so women are going to cry more. You know, they care about things, they're nurturers, they feel more. Men, as a man, you should be cold and sturdy, and there shouldn't be things that you cry about. Now, look, if somebody dies, I understand about that, but as a man, why do you even have so many emotions like a woman that you want to cry about a bunch of stuff? Why do you even care that much? But we've raised a generation of men who care about everything. And so this is why it's like, oh, well, this dude is crying and he should cry because he cares about stuff. And at the end of the day, men and women, we don't have the same biology. And so men, there shouldn't be things that we are crying about because we don't have those same emotions as women. Like at the end of the day, for me, it's like, why are you crying about it? Why do you even care that much, bro? You shouldn't even care that much. But hey, that's me. Anybody got one thing that they got to say? Because we got to move on to the next one.
I'm good.
We good?
Yeah.
Bree, you good? You got one more thing you want to say?
She got a
I
lot
mean,
to
I
say.
believe now that I'm listening to everyone speak, I believe that there is such thing as toxic masculinity, and I know what it is now. At first, I was kind of confused on like what it really is in a man. I know what it looks like in a woman, but now I hear what people are saying, and I do believe that it exists in men, just by kind of suppressing the feminine energy. Like too much masculine can become toxic, and I do believe that what she was saying, that yeah, you do need some kind of feminine qualities in order to make these firm choices. As like a masculine decision, you need to, you know, resonate, reflect, which is feminine, you know, in order to you know, have your boundaries. You need to feel emotions, which is feminine, but the boundaries that the person that's going to create the boundary is going to be a masculine thing. But you do have to have these emotions to gear you towards what boundaries you're going to set in life and on people and different things. So I see what it is now, and I believe it exists.
Okay.
And just, I mean, if I could just throw in there to her point, and it does happen in the opposite. You see a lot of men kind of complaining about women being too masculine and all this, but that's the opposite of the toxic masculinity, right? Because if you flip it on its head and a woman does not feel safe to be kind and compassionate. I'm a life coach, and there's a lot of women who believe that they're too heart-centered, and all they need to do is bring in a little bit more of the masculine, which is, you know, assertive, action-oriented, and all these things. But when you're trying to protect yourself as a woman and you feel like you can't leave your heart open and be kind and loving and compassionate, you play way up on the masculine. You're like boundaries, confident, action-oriented, da-da-da. And that's where that's not really our natural flow. That is a shell of protection because we don't always feel safe being feminine.
So it's toxic masculine in women, but I believe men can possess it too.
Yeah, you can flip it on its head. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Miles Johnson, you look like you had something that you want to say, right?
Listen, I know we got to wrap this segment up. If you would just indulge me so briefly, I have always been just fascinated by this occupation. Phil Jackson was a basketball coach, and we know why. Bill Belichick's great football coach, we know is qualified. I've just always wondered, how does one qualify to become a life coach?
Are you asking?
I've never had an opportunity to ask somebody that question directly.
Oh, well, for me, I I've been through a lot, and it's my beingness. I've actually done the work on my own self to pull myself out of dark holes, to heal my own heartbreak. I'm not fake. I don't cover. I go through everything that I experience, and it's left me with a wealth of knowledge to be able to see very objectively and clearly what people are going through and provide a different route of an outcome to walk them through with some actual tools. Not go pray. You can do that. But I also need you to understand how to identify the root of your issue. Let's change that. My name, Jamie, means supplanted, which means to supersede and replace. So I'm always going to supersede the old and put something in with the new. And because I've lived my life that way, it's given me a wealth of knowledge to help people walk out of their sticky places. And so I'm just qualified because I say so, and so do my clients. Their lives are
There you
changing.
go. There you go, Miles Johnson.
Yeah.
You satisfied? All
Not
right.
even close, but let's let
It
it
doesn't
go.
matter.
We
It really
can
doesn't
talk
matter.
later.
Where did these niggas be at when they said they doing all this and all this and all this and all
It was
that?
the 1 year anniversary of the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Was Roe versus Wade good for women? And I would have to say, no. I didn't think Roe versus Wade was good for women. I thought it encouraged women to embrace masculinity versus femininity. It told women that they should go out and create trauma for themselves. And I've never met a woman who said, "Oh yeah, having an abortion was great. I loved it." It's always been something that's been very traumatic whenever I hear somebody talk about it. So, me personally, I don't think. Sorry about that. I don't think that it was good for women. But Bree, tell me what you think.
Well, I of course I hear what you're saying, and of course the process of abortion is not going to be pleasant. I never got one, but I know people who have gotten them, women who have gotten them before, and they've gotten more than one. They've gotten 10, 7, like 6, and yeah, it's not.
Sweet Jesus.
Yeah, it's not pleasant, but they're going to keep getting them, because they know the results after getting over the process is going to be a better outcome for them. Some women just are not ready to have kids. They're not ready to have kids with the man that got them pregnant. They don't want to bring a child into the situation that they're in. So yeah, probably the experience of having an abortion is, unpleasant and uncomfortable, but no one has never said I would not do that again. I mean, at least that I know. The people who had babies that I've known have decided I'm going to have a kid now.
Okay. All right. Miles Johnson, you look like you're chomping at the bit over there. Go on and
At
tell us
the
what you
bit
think.
over here. Listen up. Roe versus Wade was good for women, and it was good for the rest of us. It was wrong-headed thinking that repealed it. To call it thinking is to give it too much credit. It's fear on the parts of some very powerful men. But it's been proven that the way to end poverty, and the only effective way to end poverty, on a big level, is to empower women. The empowerment of women over their reproductive life within a generation or two can and will get rid of poverty, illiteracy, fucking overwork, dirt, etc. And Roe versus Wade was a law that protected abortion's rights. Abortion is always a good idea if somebody decides to go through with it. I repeat that. If somebody decides to have an abortion, that was a great idea. That's not a person that should be having a child. Kind of like divorce is always good news because couples in happy marriages don't get divorced. So the repeal of Roe versus Wade was basically to punish consequence-free sex for women. And it was a bad idea.
Jamie, give us your thoughts.
Dang, consequence-free sex for women, but who we having the sex with? That I don't know. Okay, well, I think that people should always have a choice. And I do, just like Bree, know people who, when they got it, it wasn't as traumatic for them. Would have been more traumatic for them to keep it, because the situation didn't call for full-on procreation, nor was it made in a family setting. I definitely think people always have the right to choose, because I know it's on an extreme level, but it happens. But there are also victims of rape who become impregnated and things like that, who like, we're getting an abortion. Like, nobody wants to have a baby of somebody who sexually molested them. And there's a lot more of that goes on than I think even sometimes a certain kind of man is privy to. So I think the choice should always be available, but just like anything else, whether it's junk food, reality TV, whatever, once it's put out there, there's always going to be people who abuse it. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is a lot. That's a lot. But again, if that's what you want to do with your body, cool. But that also sounds like an abuse of a service that some people just really actually need.
Okay, go ahead and jump in there.
Man, I'm glad I'm 1 on 3 here. Like, Miles, that's my guy, but that's horse shit. The abortion has put us, especially Black culture, like the most abortions are by Black women, and it's giving us an excuse, like sex and all of that. Like, I forget what you called it.
Consequence-free sex.
Consequence-free sex, right? Like,
people don't like women to have consequence-free sex. They're scared of it. That's why they got rid of Roe versus Wade.
It's that we've set our bar consistently, an expectation of ourselves at the bottom rung. Like, we never set an expectation that we're gonna teach our young men or our young women that when you have sex with somebody, there is a consequence. There's no such thing as consequence-free sex. Sorry, that
sure there is.
There is always a consequence. You can get an STD. You can have sex and just have sex. You can have an emotional, raging, crazy-ass woman or a completely obsessive man who's going to be after your ass as soon as you have sex with them. So there's not a consequence-free sex, but we're setting the bar so low for our culture by saying that we should have the opportunity to have an abortion. And also, like, this shit has been on since the 70s. How many generations have we had? Like, this shit ain't getting better. It's getting worse. And when you're
poverty's gotten better by the numbers.
When you're having multiple abortions, like, there's a clear issue somewhere in your life that needs to be dealt with. Like, you need to go see Jamie. You need a life coach. You need a couple of other things too, because if you've had up to 5 abortions, something is fucked up in your head that you continue to do what you're doing.
It's none of your business.
Mind about
it's none of my business.
It's none of nobody's business. But there's a problem with a person who's done that many times. And then if we're going to sit here and say that
that's their body, that's not your business.
Hold on, dog. If we're going to sit here and say that, like, that's acceptable, like, then when we've got a far bigger issue to deal with, you know, from ourselves, like that is insane that we would accept that we don't set a bar or an example for our people to say, if you're going to have sex, here's the consequences. And that we should teach our daughters, we should teach our sons that when you're going to engage in that activity, if you're going to engage in it, here's what could happen. And that's what you're going to have to take care of. Like,
it's not for you to accept or not accept, nigga. You can't get an abortion. There's nothing for you to accept.
Yeah,
like I said, it's not your business.
What you do is
if she wants to go get 100 abortions, what that got to do with you?
What we teach our sons and we teach our daughters that you don't just go have sex just to have sex.
I'm not talking about your daughters. I'm talking about the other 7 trillion women who ain't your daughter. What they do with their womb.
But we should care. We should care.
No, we shouldn't.
It doesn't matter whether that doesn't
care about yours.
It should concern you, because if we allow them to have those kids, that's money coming out of your pocket. That's your tax money. That's going to be going to raising those kids.
Which is exactly why I want it scooped out.
Yeah, but
that's the point.
That just puts us into that continues to put our culture back to the
man.
bottom.
This is scared shit. Listen.
I mean, look,
If you got a womb, manage it the best way you see fit. If you don't got a womb, shut the fuck up. This is not our issue. It really don't got to get more complicated than that.
Kid too. Like if a man
But
wants
it-
to have a child
but-
and she doesn't, you don't have a say in that.
Exactly, and you shouldn't.
But
It ain't your womb.
You both are responsible for how
If the baby was grown, when the baby grows in your balls, then you can start calling those shots.
No,
Till then,
that's
shut
not-
the fuck up. That's not your.
All right.
That's not our business, Kay.
Shut the
If
fuck
that
up.
woman
It's
had
about
3 million
what
right.
abortions.
with somebody if you're
Okay,
not
hold
willing
up.
to take care of the consequences.
Oh, stop it. See, this is
Hold on, let me get
we're
in here.
just
Let me jump in here.
podcasting now.
Let me
None
jump
of you
in
don't
here.
mean that shit.
Let me jump in
I
here, man.
absolutely do. Like
I said-
we can go to say it's just podcasting, but that's what it is now.
All right.
Man. All right, look, hold up. Let me jump in here. All right. The question was Roe versus Wade good for women? All right. Now, hey, a case could be made that it was great for men because, then you have, like you said, consequence-free sex. But at the end of the day, I think it's just hurting women because women used to get married. And then after kind of the whole women's right thing and the abortion and Roe versus Wade, women stopped getting married. I mean, the marriage rate just drastically declined. And so now you have a bunch of women who don't have husbands, who are protecting themselves, who are working a lot harder. And then on top of that are having, traumatic abortions in their life. So with all of those factors being as they are, I don't think that that's better for women. It seems like over the last 60 years, things have gotten worse for women and relationships. Less women are getting married. Less women are having successful relationships. Women are having to work harder because they're raising more kids by themselves.
Well,
To me, it doesn't seem like things have gotten better with the installation of Roe versus Wade. But go ahead, Bree.
I don't think that Roe versus Wade is. I mean, it might be a very small factor that's adding to what's the problem of women and where women has evolved or devolved to. It's a lot going on. Like women are more career driven. There's now like gay marriages is legal. So men are turning to men for relationships. They don't want women as much as they want anymore.
More women are in the workforce. I think more women are in the workforce because they don't have husbands.
Being lesbians, so it's just like the Roe versus Wade, the abortions. It was just an added to whatever else is going on in the world. There's so many more women entrepreneurs, business women. It's just a different time. But I believe that like the life coach, I forgot her name. I'm sorry,
Jamie. It's okay, Jamie.
I'll call you Rachel because my friend Rachel's life coach. Jamie, the life coach. She is right.
Damn.
Coach, and she's right. And I believe everybody should have a choice. You want to have a choice, like being a woman, to not be forced to carry some man's baby. Sometimes women are drunk when they have sex. They're in love, and sometimes you make bad mistakes in love. Why do fools fall in love? You make foolish young mistakes when you're in love. And it just knowing that as a woman, you have a choice to not have the baby. The birth control may have not worked. The condom may have slipped. To say, you know what, at least I can have an abortion. I don't have to carry this baby is empowering for a woman, and it's important. Like,
do you think women would be a lot more careful if it wasn't an option?
I could not agree more.
You think women would be a lot more discerning if it wasn't an option? You think women would like guard their wombs a lot more, and be more strict if it wasn't an option?
We should be doing that whether there's a law or not. And that's the problem. So I do agree. And like with Miles and KJ, I can toggle between the two of you and find the middle ground because I feel like you're both right in your own right. But this really is a community issue. And when we do talk about consequence-free sex, there isn't any, because we never think about the energetic exchange. You don't know what's going on with people's in life. And this goes for men and women. So I think that allowing the abortions maybe did also free up, make women more free to have sex, to have a choice too. Cool. But, when we talk about marriage and how things change for women, marriage is on you men. So what is it about men that has also changed? Is it the access to all the sex you're getting?
Women with a bunch of abortions.
No, I understand. But what I'm saying is somebody's son had sex with that woman. So when I say it's a collective issue, yes, it's about women's wombs and everything, but are men also meeting women halfway in the space where men are functioning in the way to actually facilitate marriage? Are you guys talking about being husbands? Are you raised that, like, we're not getting husbands and the marriages have changed? That's on both of us.
This is not.
You guys didn't start that.
I repeat, this is not a community issue. This is not. This is not a. It is. Excuse me. I beg your pardon. This is not a community issue. This is a private. This is a private property issue. If you don't own anything else in this world, all you own is your own flesh, your own meat, the meat that packs your bones. If there's nothing else that's your private property, that is.
So truths can live at once. It can be your own private property.
Hang on. Let me get off what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you find something squatting in your womb that has not paid rent, evict that motherfucker if you don't want it. There's no squatters' rights here. Pay rent or quit.
This is my point.
You're talking about setting standards. You're talking about setting standards for a community. There's no community. No. The question was it good for women? Not was it good for some ethereal fucking black community?
Men and marriage and all these other things, and that, if I'm not mistaken, takes two people. If you wonder why everybody's leaning to their own gender and all of this, it's coming from a lot of this stuff. So I'm
leaning towards the women. It don't come no more pro-choice than me. If you think I'm leaning towards my own gender, I'm not making myself clear here.
I'm with pro-choice. I'm not arguing that.
Yeah. So I don't want you to get the impression I'm leaning towards my own.
Look,
I disagree with
everybody has sovereignty over their body. The issue isn't about when you get pregnant. That's what I'm saying. We got to go back a step. It's not about what you do when you become pregnant. It's about what you do when you're laying down with a dude that you know clearly can't take care of you, isn't a leader, but you're still willing to have sex with him. And if we're gonna not teach any, not ours, just any woman, if women and men too, look, if women aren't gonna take on the responsibility to say, I'm not gonna sleep with a dude who is a complete deadbeat, and for men to say, I'm not going to find a woman that can be the type of woman that I would have a baby with, then that's where you got to start setting the tone of whether or not you have sex. Like, I get it. We grew up. I get it. We grew up in a different time. We grew up, like, when I was in high school, when we were in high school, we try to hit everything. I get that. I've been with women that have had abortions. I understand that whole process. And at that time, I thought it was okay. But as I've grown and as I've matured, it's not about the act of the abortion. It's about taking a step back and for everybody, men and women, to make a choice. The choice is that when you lay down with that person and making a decision on what you guys are going to do.
That's you fair. Imposing your values on someone that doesn't share them. I don't know what gives you. I don't know what sort of arrogance thinks you're able to do that. That's how you get to live. You don't get to decide that for somebody else. If she wants to fuck the deadbeat because he makes her wet, that's her business. If she don't want to keep the baby, that's her business too. How does that affect? Where does you come into that?
You might have a kid then. That's a consequence of that sex.
Look, at the end of the day, people are welcome to do whatever they want. If I want to eat a bunch of Reese's Pieces, I can. Now, is it good for me? Absolutely not. But you can. I mean, you can do it.
What if I outlaw?
The question that we had was it good for women? Now, like I said, I don't think it was good for women at all. Because it's created an environment of basically, toxic behavior that enables people to basically kill themselves in their dreams. And when I say kill themselves, I don't mean like put a gun to your head. Basically, what I mean is you do things that are self-defeating, right? People have, back in the day, men only, a man's only way to have sex, for the most part, was to marry her. Now today, it's not.
So you want to go back to that?
Like, yeah, I don't have to marry her. It's all good. We're all good now. And so that's where I'm saying that wasn't good for women. That part wasn't good for women. Now, like I said, If people want to go and get abortions and do whatever they want, the law still allow people to do that in certain states. I just don't think it was ever. I don't think Roe versus Wade was ever good for women because it's let women take on a bunch of trauma that they didn't have to before.
I don't know.
Well, it's an option. No one's taking on the trauma that they have to. No one says you have to get an abortion, so they're not taking on trauma that
it's a decision.
Yeah, it's a decision.
Great point.
It's not like childbirth. If you take that right away, that is a burden you have to take on. People die at childbirth. Not everybody makes it through childbirth. And you have to go through it if that is outlawed everywhere. So abortion.
Women are going through crazy trauma right now because how many women are single right now? Like women stay single. Women stay single like crazy. Only 1 in 4 Black women are getting married now.
But that's a choice.
Back in the day,
that's a choice.
The man is a good man.
Who said they don't want to
not
be
a choice?
It is a choice.
He would not have an abortion. He wouldn't have given the woman the idea that
women don't want to be single.
His baby or a baby.
Wow! If only there was some women we could ask how they feel about that.
I'm a single woman, and I'm around a lot of single women, single? And it's a choice. I never said I like. No, there's more nuance to it. So a lot of us, the stuff we go through with a lot of these men, and this is also partly why I've become a life coach. Not only do we have to learn to make better decisions. No, it's fine. Not only do we have to learn to make better decisions, but I know too many women who have had babies with the wrong men, procreated, lived in and done. Like, there's a lot of men that stress women the fuck out. And it is easier to be single. We want to be with y'all. And there's so many women who have given their hearts and energy and all this over without due process and ended up fucked up in the process and have to heal and recalibrate the way we vet men and actually want to be with them. It's not the same. Like, not all of y'all are safe places. Not all of y'all are equipped to be husbands. And instead of just sucking it up, because if you talk to some of your grandmothers, grandma and grandpa might have stayed together, but ask grandma how happy she really was. Things are different. Women are making choices now and saying, I don't want to go through the bullshit. We want men, but I'd rather heal and continue to build and be the best version of me so I can align with the best version of another man than just settle with a man to say we have a man. Of course we don't want to be single. We're ready. Most of us are ready to give it all over, but we're not giving it to the wrong one because we're tired of it. And it doesn't help when we get in relationships that are negative and bad with men we shouldn't even be with. Then we find the man that's worthy of us and can't function because we're still dealing with what happened. It just doesn't work like that anymore.
In that,
right? I think we said the same thing. We said the same thing. I said women want men, and you said women want men. And I did ask grandma, and grandma was happy when she had 5-6 kids and 30 grandkids, and at the end of her life, all of her family was with her, and she looked at what she created and was happy.
Yeah, that's not neither one of my grandma's stories.
Now we have women who are going to go through their whole lives without getting to experience that. And it's not just because it's not on the women. I'm on women's side. Like I said, I don't think this was good for women because what happened was Roe versus Wade let men now not be responsible for women. That's what Roe versus Wade did. It said, oh, I don't got to be responsible for her. I can just sleep with her now. I don't have to be responsible for her.
But
and that's what Roe versus Wade did.
Because it gives you an out. You know that at some point she can have an abortion. Yeah. It's a combination.
Everybody likes easy.
Why do these laws dictate your behavior? Be upstanding or not? That shouldn't be. If you're really a good man, why does the law change and be like, now I can go get free, but like you can't be upstanding?
That's a way deeper question and that probably can't be answered. But yeah, that's a good question to ask. But why? It all goes back to not only Roe versus Wade, but at the same time with welfare. Like, I mean, we can go into a whole thing, but it gave both men and women the opportunity to have sex without having a consequence and to not take the responsibilities that we needed to. So now, yeah, you're dealing with the men that grew up from the women who were single and these men didn't have a man in their life to teach them how to be men. So yeah, you're dealing from a pool of men that are screwed up, who don't understand what it takes to be a leader of their family, because there was no man in their life, because that mom was willing to have an abortion, was willing to get on welfare and not have to have that leader in their life, and have a man who could teach their son how to be that leader that you all are looking for.
Here's the issue with making this a Black community thing. They didn't, Roe versus Wade wasn't just for us. Roe versus Wade was the law of the land for everyone. So if it really has all these negative effects that you claiming it had on the Black community, how come those weren't distributed and spread out evenly?
How come?
I mean, Asians are allowed to have as many abortions as we are, right?
This is just one more thing.
Aren't widespread to all communities. We just tend to
it's because it's not. It's because it's not the abortion. The problem with us, the problem in our community is not it's not Roe versus Wade. Roe versus Wade is available equally, or was available equally.
No, but
and the abortions that are still available are available equally. So,
right, but the people who put this stuff in place know that Black people are more susceptible to doing these types of things, because we've done it.
Oh, the people
forever.
who put this stuff in,
over history, we've done it.
The them behind the curtain, right? The capital T them.
Like,
correct.
Is that who are we talking about?
Crack didn't come into the neighborhood off a bunch of Black people.
All right.
Wait, say it again.
All right. I think we've exhausted this one.
Good combo, though.
I told you earlier this was a great idea, and that's bearing out, right?
All right. Anybody got any last words before we wrap this up?
Scoop.
All right. Last week in Chicago, a woman got into a fight with a man, and her son ended up shooting and killing the guy. So I want to play it real fast, and then I want to talk about what happened as the woman and the son were arrested, and then just yesterday, both the woman and the son were released. So, well, I'll play kind of a clip, and then we'll come back and get everybody's perspective on it. That was kind of brutal. After that had happened, the lady's son shot the guy. The guy ran out. The lady's son shot him again, killed the man. And the woman and the son were arrested. And then a couple of days later, they were released without charge. Me personally, I think that what the young man did and basically protecting his mom is what any man probably would do. I don't see any fault in what the young man did. He was protecting his mom. And in most states, if you have a gun and someone is putting someone else in intimate danger, you have the right to protect yourself and, your loved ones. Now, the problem that I have with this situation is the man and the woman got into a confrontation at a burger joint or a chicken joint or whatever that was. And the dude is telling her, just get your stuff and leave me alone. And the woman keeps going and going and going and going. Now, I'm not saying that it was right for this man to hit this woman in the face. At no point is it right for this man to hit this woman in the face. But I do think this woman has to take a little bit of culpability in what happened, because instead of de-escalating the situation, she escalated the situation. She continued to go back and forth with this man who was telling her, listen, something bad is going to happen. Then something bad happened. Man lost his life. And I think at a certain point, this woman is responsible. I don't think the young man is responsible. He did what he's supposed to do in protecting his mother. But I think this woman is responsible for escalating the situation. That's my take. Miles Johnson, what do you think?
I had an issue with how you characterized this in the beginning. You said that a woman got into a fight with a man. That is not what happened. At no point did that woman get in a fight with a man. That woman was having a discussion with a man. The man initiated the fight.
I said
And he
argument.
got what he ordered. No, first you said she got into a fight with it, and I know that may not be what you mean, but even when we say things like that and characterize them that way, you know, we can lose the plot a little bit. She didn't get into a fight with that dude. You know, having said that, I think the gene pool got a lot stronger. I think that if this dude has reproduced, he won't continue to reproduce, and I think that's a positive development. Uh, you know, keep your hands to yourself. That I mean, I've been hearing that since preschool. Keep your fucking hands
Right.
to yourself. Uh, Listen, I mean, what they say, he came in for a burger and left with wings. God bless. He he got what he ordered. I think this young man is what's most concerning to me because I've been a 14-year-old boy and I've been around a lot of 14-year-old boys, and I don't remember many of them that would shoot and kill on command. Even in a situation like that, where your mom is being assaulted in front of you and you get told to go get the gun and shoot him, most boys' hands would tremble. Most of them wouldn't be able to shoot straight. Something tells me that kid went home that night and slept like a baby, 7 hours. So that's one of the things that got my immediate attention. But yeah, this dude was a stain on humanity, and I'm glad we're free of him.
Jamie, give us your take.
Yeah, I was worried about the boy too, especially being 14, but it also is Chicago. And I kind of know how it goes down there. It's a lot. So that's the only thing that had me put two and two together on that. But yeah, if I was in that situation, I know I'm smaller than a man. I'm not going to sit up there and scream and argue and escalate. Am I saying it's her fault? No, but nor do I put myself in positions to be threatened by a man. Not doing it. I don't want to get punched in the face. I don't want to get stolen. I don't want none of that. So naturally, going back and forth wouldn't have been my instinct because people are crazy. So yeah, there was escalation there, but he absolutely should not have touched that woman. And I believe he got what he deserved. If it was me as a child, I'm hoping I would have the same instinct to shoot, to kill, because I would feel like I was protecting mine. He was absolutely a threat. And I don't like my people touched. So I'd probably even go harder over my mom or my family member than I would just, to me, I would just be quiet. Because I don't like the extra, but I think he got what he deserved. Not only that, don't take me for my word, but you know, just reading around on the internet, I don't know how accurate it is, but looking at this man, I could see how it's possibly so. But first of all, imagine the women he's dated. And somebody was saying there was just a police report on him because he beat some other woman to a pulp. Like, he beats women. Like, I could see that. If you're willing to steal on a woman in her bonnet over some burgers and whatever because she won't be quiet, his girlfriends, women he's close to, like, he's beat on women before. And this time he got what he deserved. I don't feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for the two little girls he left behind. It's also crazy to me that he has daughters and, you know, if anything, the kids are the ones that need. I see he has a GoFundMe for his funeral. If anybody's going to be donating any money, the kids, for what they had to experience in this. But him,
I hope they don't. Yeah.
I mean, people are going to give.
Right.
If we're going to do one, I don't know.
Yeah. So
Okay, go ahead and jump in. What you think?
went from like complete disagreement with Miles to a complete agreement. Couple of things. One, we talked about the emotion all the time, right? We talk about men being emotional and how, as a man, you need to be able to control that emotion and be hardy and strong and cold in certain situations so that you don't put yourself into that position. His emotions completely engulfed him. And at no point did she ever get physical with him. Like, there's no reason. Yeah, part of my misunderstanding on this or miseducation is I don't know the entire setup that led to the whole argument. But regardless of what really led to it, him taking physical action on another woman, like we talked about consequence-free sex, there's no consequence-free punching a woman for a man.
Violence. Yeah.
There's no consequence-free there. And there is a clear consequence in this scenario. And he got what he deserved, because whatever actions he's taken in that situation, like Jamie said, I've had this discussion with my wife as well. He's probably beat on women before. If he's willing to punch a woman in public with a phone clearly recording it all, he has no problem behind closed doors doing that as well. And while I do sort of feel sorry for his daughters, like, you got to think about this, like, they're probably going to be better off without him. Like, it's a very traumatic situation what happened to their dad, but you know, growing up without that type of influence could be better for anybody. And if you put your hands on a woman that has a child and has a son, you can expect that something's going to happen. Like, you go back to the old Godfather, you know, the dude, the original Godfather, his dad was killed. Years and years later, he came back and avenged that, right? This young man had a chance to do it right away. So understand that if you put your hands on somebody, there can be a consequence.
Bree, did you have any thoughts on this situation? Were you able to see the video?
No, I came in late, so I didn't get to see it. I got my phone dropped, the call dropped, so I had to chime in late. I'm not really sure what happened in the incident.
Okay, all right. We'll come back. Okay. So I think we're all in agreement that the dude got what he got. You know what I'm saying? I think we're all in agreement that you know, when you lose your cool like that, you know, shit happens. You know, I think we're all in agreement. But it seems like I may be the only person who says that the mom has some culpability in the situation. For me, it's kind of like you don't really get to start a fire and then put the fire out and be like, hey, everything's good. It's like, well, no, some shit got burned down. Even though you put it out, some shit actually got burned down. Am I the only person who feels like that the lady has some culpability for not de-escalating or trying to de-escalate the situation?
See, I think this is having it both ways. I think, you know, if we got to pick a side of the fence to be on. If we want to say that men are the leaders and men are the example and men are supposed to be strong and supposed to be the protectors and all that kind of shit, and then we want to say, oh, well, the woman was supposed to de-escalate it. Those two things are in opposition to each other. Now, which one is it?
All right. Well, check this out. Let's check this out.
Agree.
Okay, check this out. What if it were two men? Would one man be culpable or no? Because both of them are supposed to be leaders, right?
Well, I mean, I'm just going off your general.
So say she was you. Say you were her. If you were her, and the other dude is telling you, bro, shut the fuck up, bro. I'm about to put these hands on you.
That's
shut up, leave me alone.
Okay? That's apples and oranges. If you
that is apples and oranges.
Two men who
I'm confronting
put
him.
hands up and have
he brought up leadership. He brought up leadership, and I'm just talking about in the eyes of the law. That's all I'm talking about. In the eyes of the law, she's not culpable.
Oh, she's not culpable at all legally. Legally, she's a pure victim. There's no law that says I can't talk. Mm-hmm. So if we're just talking about it in the eyes of the law, which was borne out, I mean, they dropped the charges. So in the eyes of the law, she has zero culpability.
No, you can't. No, you cannot. You can't. There are certain situations where escalating a problem is against the law.
Right, and the law has determined that this is not one of those situations.
Yeah,
the law.
Sorry, I was going to say the same exact thing Miles said. Like, we had years and years of discussions of, you know, men having the be the level head one and de-escalate situations.
Yeah, she's supposed to de-escalate it.
What's right. So, like, whether it's the law or if it's two men or not.
I'm not saying that the dude wasn't wrong. I'm saying absolutely he was wrong, and absolutely he should have de-escalated the situation. But I also think there is a burden on the other person to do the same thing as well. Like, if two people are in a gunfight,
like, so, but I don't know. Again, I don't know.
He's saying before the punches start flying,
was escalating it What
Yeah,
point did he shoot him?
I'm saying before the punch. No, I'm saying before the punch. I'm saying before the punch.
What should she have done? Like, that's what I'm saying.
She
Like,
should have got her food and walked out
Stop
of there.
talking.
And I agree
Stop
with
talking.
Yeah, she should have. Yeah, she should have got her food and walked the fuck out.
that. I mean, she knows she got a kid there.
Then if
Now
she
she's
gets her
just
food,
made him a
if she
killer.
gets her food and walks
Yes.
the fuck out, this doesn't happen.
Now,
If she gets her food and walks out, this don't happen.
if you are in a store and you know starting to exchange words with the dude and he tells you get your food, shut the fuck up, or I'm about to fire on you, Kay, you about to walk out.
Yeah, if I got my pistol, yeah, I'm gonna walk out because I don't want to have to kill that man.
Thank
This
God
goes
for
back
you
to the
being-
toxic
Yeah,
masculinity
I'm gonna walk out.
conversation we were
It
just having,
does.
though. Because
It does.
KJ, what you're saying is
Right,
that
and
if a nigga told you
that's
that,
why I'm saying
something
if-
about your manhood would make you stand your ground. And if it ends in a
no, that
fatality,
would have
then
been
it just
toxic
do what it do.
femininity.
I'm not saying
That's-
That would have been toxic
I'm
femininity.
saying we probably would have got down. Like,
That's toxic femininity.
But I wouldn't even be in that situation. Like, I'm not even like having an argument with the cat. But
I'm not
if
either.
the dude told either of you to your faces, shut the fuck up, or I'm about to fire on you. I know you two. Neither one of you about to walk out.
No, but
I'm
again, that's
walk out. If I got my pistol, I'm gonna walk out.
what if you don't got your pistol?
I'm gonna say, hey, you know what, bro? You got it. I don't want to have to kill you
I
today.
don't believe you.
For sure.
Yeah, not too many people are being told shut the fuck up and do nothing.
Nigga
People
said
don't like
straight
that.
up.
Hey, okay, all right, I'll take it. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
That was
All
the
right.
Ron
Anybody else
Burgundy.
got anything to say on this
I don't
topic?
believe you.
We got another topic, and then we got to move to another topic. Anybody else got anything they want to say on this?
Nah,
Nope.
great
All right.
shooting. I pray for the young man because something tells me if he's that cool under fire, this won't be his last body. I'm hoping that he gets into the military and they put that to some good use.
Gosh, something wrong here.
Man, that shit is goofy. These dudes is goofy. Bree,
Yes.
what you got to say about it?
So basically, again, my phone was having issues during that clip, but I'm back, and my laptop was having issues, so I'm back now. But basically, it's a TikToker walking into a stranger's house and acting like it's their house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't they call the cops, like, for private property, like trespassing?
They could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should have.
I don't think that's a smart
They didn't.
move.
Not at all.
But see, the problem is that
Crazy.
the police are going to show up
Crazy.
without guns.
Yep.
Goofy.
Goofy.
Goofy as hell.
Yeah.
Miles Johnson, tell us give us your full examination of what this was.
I think that this is a problem with a populace that's not armed enough, like you mentioned. In the United States, you would have a little more pause doing shit like that because there might be some people like the young man in Chicago who might ventilate you a little bit. So I think that's actually a good thing. This goes back to natural selection, though. Homeboy in the chicken shack in Chicago, made poor life decisions, and now he's no longer, these people should be on that same track. 4th of July is in a few days here, and every year, natural selection and Charles Darwin does their work there when some dumbass shoots a mortar rocket off the back of their head and, hopefully hasn't reproduced yet and doesn't get a chance to. This is right in line with some of that. unfortunately, the United Kingdom's gun laws don't allow Darwin to do his work to his full capacity.
Jamie, go ahead and give us your take.
I think it's absolute stupidity. And them being in those people's house, okay, maybe they don't have gun laws, but they had the right to fight. I hear kids in the background. I'm fighting, shooting, doing whatever, because who has time to ask questions? Why are there 3 kids in my house? First of all, you got your shoes on. I don't even allow that for nobody. Like, it's rude, it's disrespectful, it's stupid. And a lot of these people are going to fuck around and find out. Just like I saw one of those other TikTokers, and I think this wasn't the States, it might have been New York. It looked like he was standing outside a bodega and he flinched, like he was about to punch somebody. That dude turned around and rocked his world. And rightfully so. Stop playing with people. Stop playing with people. It is the stupidest thing. These kids' parents need to be more involved. I know kids do stupid things, but it's a whole nother level. We're in a different world right now. I don't know what the UK is like, but ain't nobody got time for that. Like, people are too crazy at this point. This is not the 90s. Even then, it would have been, the most we were doing is knocking on somebody's door and running. And I'm not even doing that these days.
Shot.
I'm not even doing that these days. It's not the time for that. And then we're supposed to be sad when one of these kids dies. It would be sad, but it's like, what? I'm trying to figure out what you expected being that ignorant, you know? Goofy, like you said.
Yeah.
Okay, you got your Glock sweater on. You got your Glock with you, Kay? You got your Glock.
I couldn't take it on the plane, so I brought it with me. But if I was at home in Oklahoma, which is an open carry state, and you can get a concealed carry by just having an identification card, I can guarantee you where these little motherfuckers won't be playing that game, and that's in the state of Oklahoma. Bring that shit out there. They'll make it to about 2 houses before we're talking about a tragic situation where somebody's getting their ass scraped up off the front porch. They're not even going to make it inside the house. So this, it goes back to how these kids were raised and not getting their ass whooped. Right? Like, any kid who thinks that they can disrespect another person, man, woman, grandma, anything's house by just walking into their house that way, clearly did not get disciplined growing up. I was afraid to talk back to my teacher. I remember having notes that I was bringing home, and I was like, damn, I got to take this home to my dad, and I know what's going to happen. That anticipation was far worse than the ass whipping. The ass whipping, oftentimes was pretty mild, but knowing that I was about to get my ass whipped was far worse. So as I grew up, I realized that there's certain things that I'm not going to do because I might get my ass whipped in a different manner that doesn't necessarily constitute my dad raising his hand to me, right? So these kids have a discipline problem. But clearly, that's not in the U.S. I figured that was the UK because there are no guns in that area, so they know they're very confident and comfortable in disrespecting the man's house in that manner. And I think UK cats are typically a little bit softer. I mean, not everyone, but they're gonna try to talk you out of their house and push you away instead of putting some hands on people because there's a few spots. Try it out on what is it, 103rd and Grape Street and walk up in one of these cats' houses. Yeah. Shit.
I don't know. Yeah. Boxing originated in the UK. They
not all
done some handwork.
Let me be clear. There's some cats out there that have put some hands on people. Lennox Lewis put his hands on a lot of folks.
Tips.
But that dude that was pointing him out the house and he went and sat on his couch and he still didn't leave.
He's not doing it.
Hands were put on him at no time during that entire video.
Any last words? Any last words? Yeah, no, maybe.
I think I'm gonna try to get into life coaching, and if anybody's able to kind of walk me through the beginning stages of that, I can really use some of that cash.
Miles, if you ever became a life coach, you'd be fucking people's lives up. Yeah, you'd be.
You mean not like the rest of them, right?
Oh man, you be
So
sending motherfuckers out of there far
my
worse than they want to.
qualifications are not up to par. Is that it?
I know you might have the qualifications, but your
Oh,
responses to them would have them walking out in tears with their goddamn pockets pulled out.
hey, listen, Parcells didn't tell
All
you
right.
what you wanted to hear. God damn it, we trying to win around here.
Yeah, it's
All right.
definitely not about
Let's,
telling people what they want to hear.
So we got a letter from a young lady, and she says, "Dear Blk Cinder, I'm a 24-year-old single Black woman in law school who wants a career, but I also want to start a family. I feel like I'm having no success doing both. Please let me know what you think I should do." Here's my advice, young lady. You should quit law school and start a family. Start a family, get a husband, and then once you've raised your kids, go back to law school, work pro bono, do it without, chase your passion without having to break your back and slave and earn money doing it. That would be my advice. Jamie, as a life coach here, as the resident life coach here, what would you tell her?
Well, I would tell her to do both, honestly. She's 24. She has time, but she's going to grow and change a lot. She hasn't even hit her dark night of the soul. There's a lot that she needs to learn. I think she could learn a lot about herself in law school, but the thing is that she said she's having a problem doing both. So I would actually want to know a little bit more about that and where she's finding the problem in both. Because I mean, with all due respect, KB, I think what you're saying, yeah, get married, don't work hard, did it. But I think you're assuming that there's just so many men out here who are eager and single and they want to get married and have babies and provide. And it sounds good, but I mean, there's a little bit more navigating than that, just from a woman's perspective. I've been out here a long time and, there's a lot going on. So it sounds good in theory, but I think her remaining in law school doesn't mean she has to become this hard, boss-driven woman. She can remain feminine and still just take classes and learn about herself and grow. And that's only going to behoove her future husband, but to keep the family on the forefront. Like this is still important. She should still seek that. I would tell her to even get mentorship or some life coaching in that so she can choose properly. And because who knows, like the man that she teams up with, maybe her smarts and know-how and just a little bit of information she has will serve the household. And while she's pregnant, she can share whatever knowledge she has. But what I do know from talking with women younger and older is there is a sense of individuality, growth, purpose, and sense of self a woman needs to have to be at her best. And this will serve her husband. So I'm not saying, yeah, girl, go work and do your own thing. Do some of that though, because he's going to need that from you as well. So I would encourage her to continue to balance both and keep them on the forefront. I don't think going to school takes her completely out of the realm of being available to date. I think she can do both. But the fact that she's having trouble in both, I feel like I can start to pinpoint why, but I don't know. I would have to ask more questions.
All right, Kay.
Yeah.
Give us your perspective.
I'm with you, KB. Like, if she wants to do it right now, drop out of law school. If you want to finish law school and have that degree and then work on your family, that's cool. But we've talked about men being leaders, and if you're going to find a man that's going to lead your family, he doesn't require you to have a law degree. He doesn't require you to work. What he should be doing as a leader of your family is being that provider, being that security for you to be able to nurture and be that mother, that wife for that family. That's a very difficult prospect to do both. To be able to raise kids today at any time, and to be a lawyer and to take the kind of time it requires, that's extremely difficult. And if you're, as a woman, are going to do both of those, then you are going to take away from motherhood. There's going to be sacrifices that you have to make. You're going to miss games. You're going to miss, certain aspects of your kids growing up. And you might look back at that and regret it. But if you are really talking about starting a family, finding a husband, then you need to find a leader. And I get it, Jamie, like you're saying that pool is limited, but
24-year-old women are not equipped to go find leaders and providers, and it doesn't work that way all the time. Majority.
I beg to differ.
But we're talking about now.
Hold on. Again, I think we always set that bar super low. Like, why do we always set the bar that we can't? There's not enough men out there that we can figure this out. Like, I do believe that they're out there. It's just that we have to set our expectations correctly. You've got to go out and it's not going to be easy. She has enough gumption to be a law student and be prepared to become a lawyer. You put some of that focus and energy into finding a good man that could be that leader for you, then I do think that's possible. But what's extremely difficult is to have that type of career and to raise a family and be the type of wife that leader husband requires.
Go ahead, Bree. Give us your thoughts.
I think if she's having trouble doing both, I don't know if she's having trouble doing both like individually or having trouble doing both at the same time. I'm not quite sure, but I feel like anything you do should just come naturally, especially at 24, because you don't really know what either life holds for you. So I feel like if she went to law school, she could find a possible husband candidate, like Michelle Obama found Barack in college. Hillary Clinton, like they find each other in college. Usually if you find your match in college. So I believe that she could, find her boyfriend who turns into a fiance, turns into a husband in college. And if they're on the same page, they can have kids and develop a career together, and it'll just happen naturally. If it's not happening naturally, dating someone, then she should just focus on school. If school, like she can't get into scholarships, she can't get the law school now, she can't pass the bar, she may want to take a break and start dating and just enjoying her life. I feel like whatever is coming most naturally to her, she should go with.
All right.
Agreed.
Miles Johnson, go ahead and give us your take. What advice would you give her?
Quit law school, young lady. Drop out of law school. Don't try to win. Try to find a winner. I feel like that's the better path for you. If you want to have kids, like you're 24, and I know it don't seem like it, but your window is not. It's really not as open as it seems like it is right now. Especially if you're trying to have a dude that's worth a goddamn. Focus on that. That don't mean to be dumb. I don't mean that you can't find another profession that's fulfilling, but the law, particularly law, is if you're gonna try to rise up in it, is all consuming for people. I mean, even the best and the brightest have to almost dedicate their lives to it. Like you said, you're gonna miss, even if you have the kids, you're gonna miss so much of their upbringing that it might be diminishing returns. I would say quit law school.
But she did say she's in school. Like, what if she doesn't become a full-blown lawyer? Because I agree with you guys. like, yeah, if she wants to be this big-time lawyer and do this and that, it is going to take away from the family. But mixed in with what Bree said, being in school is not going to take away. I think it's really easy for men to say, yeah, quit school and just, go be a wife. But I mean, coming from a woman's perspective, who's, I'm an on-camera host as well. I've talked to probably like thousands of people. It just doesn't always work that way. Like, it's not that simple. And a lot of the issues that women, as they grow, they change because their individualism and what they need to become as women starts to affect how they deal with you. She marries a guy at 25. At 35, she could be looking at him like, I am not even the same person. And then on top of that, be completely ill-equipped. And then now has to go on this whole search to find out who she is. Yeah, and she's still not going to be with you. So
those are hypotheticals.
A lot of these women are.
She's saying she wants to have kids.
That's
correct.
Correct. Real quick, that's running on the premise that man is going to stay the same as well. Like, everybody's got to grow. There's got to be growth and maturity in a relationship that both people are. Nobody at 25 is going to be the same at 35 or 45. So yeah, who she is at 25 is going to be different than 35. But who he is at 27, 28 or whatever, 25 even, is going to be different at 35. So part of The relationship is how you guys grow together and how you create the maturity in that process, not only individually, but together as a couple, because there's not going to be anybody that stays the same. And if she does or he does, then yeah, that relationship won't work. But there's got to be growth in both of them.
You have to be equipped for that kind of growth. That kind of growth doesn't come on osmosis.
Yeah, but that's not gonna. I mean, that means that nobody. I agree. Like, you shouldn't really get married before 25. You probably should wait till you're about 30 anyway. But like you can start that look and figure out what you're gonna do. So,
but she can't do nothing in the process.
Your
because
biological
she's not
clock,
gonna have no personal.
Your shot clock is running out at 30.
I just had two friends. They're 41. They both just had kids, so I get it.
Your doctor don't recommend it though.
I don't think it's a good idea. I don't know. That's a whole different conversation.
The biological one, and the science is settled on it.
There's biological.
All right. Here's the two reasons why I would say that she should, drop out of law school and focus on trying to get married. As a young woman, you are able to attract more men from various age ranges and incomes as a younger woman than an older woman. I mean, everybody knows as we get older, it becomes harder to attract a mate. On the flip side, you are more likely to be successful the older you are if you enter law school than if you're younger. And the reason is because you have life experience. So as you're going back into school, you're bringing a wealth of life experience into it. And you can say, oh, okay, yeah, now I understand these things that I didn't understand when I was 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So basically, there's two upsides for her to stop law school now and actually pursue and focus on trying to get married, trying to find a husband, versus staying in law school and, taking her chances once she gets out of law school. The other part of law school is, she becomes more intelligent, and women are hypergamous. So they're going to date up. She's going to want to find a man who's as intelligent or even more intelligent than her. But once she gets to law school, she's dealing at probably 0.5% of the population of men who are going to be smarter than her or more educated than her or, are her cup of tea mentally. And, that just lowers the pool of viable candidates. So it's going to make it harder for her. It's going to be older, and it's going to be a smaller pool of men who can actually satisfy her mentally. I would say while you're young, try to find that man now, and then, worry about going to school later once you've already have a family, once you already have a husband, and, you probably have a better income at that time because, you're married. And you're probably going to understand the information and the courses a little bit better because you have so much life experience behind you. So that's why I would give her that advice.
Don't waste your pretty.
Go off,
Jamie. Rebut that.
No, it doesn't make sense to me, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Even more like, again, what Bree said, if she's in school, because I'm hearing a lot of either or, and she's saying she wants to do both. If we deny her the opportunity to do a piece of what she wants, it's going to bite you in the ass later. That's how it works with women. I can't speak for men, but I'm saying, because there's going to be, even if it's a little bit of a resentment. Okay, if she wants to go to law school, she should go. And then Bree is right. Like, this gives her an opportunity to actually meet someone and to meet someone in a field she's interested in and meet someone. I don't love when people speak on women's intelligence and want them to stay here so it's easier to find more pool of men. Like, there's got to be some point where we believe in something just a little bit more divine on going with a certain kind of flow and allowing your life to unfold in a particular way and following that path, because it's just not so cut and dry. There's a lot of nuances.
To be clear, nobody's denying her anything. No, she asked our advice. Am I right on that? So I don't know that we seek to deny her anything. She's asking.
I'm saying, with the advice saying quit law school, that's she says she wants to do it. So to say
the premise was she was struggling to do either.
That's
both. That was from her mouth. I'm struggling to do both.
Correct.
So once we've accepted her premise, now we're guiding her one way or the other. I just want to be clear. We're not seeking to deny her of anything. If she wants to do both, she's free to. But if that was working out, she wouldn't have written the Blk Cinder, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if she's going to do that, then the first and foremost, she needs to get some, I don't want to just say therapy, but it's going to take some assistance. Like we
Life
can't,
coaching,
we're
maybe?
not, yes, because we're not learning how to vet.
Who's to say she even has a partner? So she quits law school and she doesn't even have a partner. It takes years for people to find partners. People are single for
And
years.
to learn
Which is
how
why
to
you gotta
choose
start
a
early.
partner.
Yeah, to learn what they want. Not a lot of women don't know what they want. I still to this day don't know what I want, and I've been in millions of relationships and engagements, and I'm still confused. I don't know what I want. At 24, you don't know what kind of man you really want, you know. And if she has a partner, I believe she should try to work it out with them and discuss it with them. But if she doesn't, just to quit law school, just to go on the search where she's just dating and going out, partying every night, trying to look for a man, it's kind of like, really,
Nobody
you're going to do
said
that?
party every
But
night.
No.
Definitely not partying, but
I mean, how is she going to find this man? What is she going to do? I believe the
Not
best way to
doing
do is
that.
go to school. Go to school and you can find you a good man.
Nobody
you find
said drop out of school. We just
yeah,
said
KB
maybe
and
not law
KJ
school.
said drop out. They both said drop
of law
it.
school.
Law school. Last time I checked, there was other schools, right?
But that's not
don't
her interest.
Specialize in law. She said her question was, should I continue law school? Doesn't
She
mean you
may or
can't
may
go to
not.
school.
Yeah.
I would tell her to drop out of law school and then focus on, spend as much time as she would have been studying and focusing on law school. Spend that time on, actually vetting men. I mean, there's plenty of dating apps out there. There's plenty of grocery stores and different areas that you can meet men. The problem is people don't know how to vet men. But if you're focused and you start to read up on things, just like you would read up on things in law school, then you'll figure out some good tactics on actually how to vet the man that you really want to be with. I mean, hey, you could watch Blk Cinder and I'll tell you just how to vet men. You know what I'm saying?
But like I said, some women, they don't know what man they want to be with. They don't know if they want an alpha man, a beta man. They don't know if they're an alpha woman, a beta woman.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that, Bree. You know what kind of man
every
you
woman
like.
wants an alpha man.
You don't like no beta man.
There's no woman out there that looking for a beta man.
I wouldn't say
there's
no
a lot
There
of
are.
women,
Yeah, I was like,
men.
I wouldn't
They
say
have
no
deadbeat-
women,
yeah.
but no
deadbeat,
quality women.
Deadbeat men, and they're arguing with other women over that deadbeat man. These women don't really know what kind of man they want. They want this alpha man that's rich with money, that's a provider, but they're fighting other women over deadbeat men who have 3 strikes, that just got to jail. They have no credit.
But
they have
in their
nothing.
eyes, that's an
They
alpha.
want
That's a
men
problem.
that other women want.
No, they know that's a beta man. They know that's a beta man. They are just too insecure to approach the alpha man or get the good who they deserve. They don't really know. They know their worth, but they're not really living in their worth as to go and approach an alpha man. There's so
See, this
many
goes
women
back to you thinking there's enough men for women.
know how to go and apply it to their life.
I don't think I don't know if the quality is as high. And I don't mean that as a diss. I mean it as like, if we can talk about men who are not being raised, KJ, you said it earlier, right? Now there's this pool of men who did not have fathers in the home and all of this stuff going on. And that's like the reality. We're not dealing with left and right and floodgates open of just these quality, top-notch, I want to take care of you and have a wife. There's a lot. Men are not even taught at 24 to go be a husband. We're telling men, go sow your wild oats, go to college, figure out
Which
who
they
you are
should.
as a man.
We're not
Okay,
telling her to
cool.
get with a
So at
24-year-old dude.
But I'm also saying,
nobody's saying that.
But we're still playing in a pool where the math ain't mathin'. If she's 24, like her
Her dude
peers
is
are not
34.
doing that.
Yeah, she needs to be.
Yeah.
She needs to
Yeah.
be dating men who are 30 to 40 years old. That's who she needs to be.
I do not agree.
That's
No,
what she needs
a
to be searching
40-year-old man at the end of the day is really not going to want to deal with a 24-year-old woman. 24?
Shit.
Come on, y'all.
You might want
Y'all.
to talk to some 40-year-old men.
Yeah, and that would be.
I'm involved in some
it would be
conversations.
scary.
I'm involved in
That's
some
scary.
conversations you may
That's
not be privy to.
manipulative.
Yeah,
might
I'm in
want
some
us-
discussions in some rooms you might not be in.
No, I know.
And-
how men
and
talk.
take it from
I
me.
get it. Yeah, but
Yeah. 24-year-old women, they can hit in anybody's league. All right.
okay.
Yeah, but she might want another 24-year-old. She might not want a 30
With salt
or
and pepper
40-year-old.
beard, your
Well, then
balls,
that's a
like-
bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Then you about to
Yeah.
go down the wrong
Yeah.
road.
Yeah, you're in for a horrible experience.
Yeah, you are.
24-year-old men ain't even. They still have
Men.
wet dreams half the time. Like you can't hitch your wagon to that.
Nah, it's no good.
Telling her-
That's why I say if she watches Blk Cinder, she'll know not to date men her age. They can't teach her anything
At all.
At all.
My.
You should never date men your age. Men your age can't teach you anything.
I want to
You guys have
dispel
the
this
same
notion that 40-year-old men want nothing to do with 24-year-old women, because I think that's coming from a place. I think that's coming from a common place. I think that's a common thought, and nothing could be further from the truth. Let's just put that in clear contrast.
All right.
It definitely depends on what kind of man you are.
All right.
It kind of
Well,
likes hot women.